Welcome to another edition of Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I'm your host, Nathan Stahr, and with me today I've got Karla Belzer from the University of Illinois Extension.
Yep.
Thank you for coming up to our studio today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The reason why we asked you to come up here today is because it's Older Americans Month.
Yep.
And so can you give us a little information of exactly what that is and why it matters?
Yeah, so Older Americans Month actually was established in 1963 by President John Kennedy. And back in those days, it was called Senior Citizens Month. So times have changed a little. We've adapted the lingo, and really it's an opportunity to celebrate the contributions of older adults in our society. Mm-hmm. So there's a focus on independence and healthy aging, as well as community engagement. So just an opportunity to recognize those very valuable members of our society. And as Extension, there's an opportunity for us to share resources and support that help recognize the contributions that older adults have in our lives.
So this year's theme is Champion Your Health. Mm-hmm. How does that really look for everyday older citizens?
Sure. So the whole effort is actually organized by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and every year they choose a different theme. And this year, Champion Your Health really is kind of a call to engagement and a call to action about taking control of your everyday life, and not necessarily aiming for perfection, but being intentional and mindful about making small choices that can contribute to your overall health and well-being. So just those little intentional daily habits that can make your life better is really what the aim of that project is this year.
All right. So when we talk about health and brain health, isn't always the first thing that people think of, and why should it be?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And if you really think about health in general, even when I just say the word health, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Oh, usually it's diet, exercise.
Yeah, your physical health, right? And that's a lot of our culture. We're kind of taught throughout our life to take care of our body, to get enough exercise, to do all those things, but we're not really taught to consider the health of our brain. So efforts in focusing on brain health really aims to change that. Because we do know our brain is very important, and it should be just as important as our physical health, but it's just not something that we're really conditioned to think about. So the work that we do at Illinois Extension, we do different brain health programs to really start changing that and really encouraging people to take an active role in taking care of their cognitive health.
So what are some simple and practical ways that people can start taking care of their brain health?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions. So as a family life educator, when I was actively doing a lot of trainings throughout the community on this, I like to call them the big six. So there are 6 things that we can do on an everyday basis to really contribute to our own brain health. And there are things that are within our control. So if we have a minute, can I go over each of them?
Oh, yeah, certainly. Oh, yeah, we've got all the time in the world.
Perfect. So the first one is sleep. So we all know how important sleep is. Sleep is the opportunity, gives our brain the opportunity to rest, recharge, and really clear out waste from the day. So we all know, we've all heard, we should aim to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night. Right. Some nights that's easier than others.
True.
But that is something that we should really aim for, and we should really make part of our healthy sleep routine. Now, also with that, it's important to consider our sleep environment. And that might look different for every person. So some people need a fan on, some people need, certain background noise or a certain temperature. Whatever that sleep environment looks like for you is important to maintain that. The other thing that's really important with sleep is we should really try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every night. That consistency is huge, even on weekends, holidays, vacations, and that can be challenging, but all of those things contribute to the overall quality of our sleep, which contributes to our brain health. The next one of the big 6 is diet. So some of these you probably figure are pretty obvious as ways that we can take care of our brain, and diet is one of them. We know what's good for the heart is good for the brain. So a heart-healthy diet, lean meats, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and staying hydrated provides all the minerals and nutrients that is prime for cognitive health. The next one, can you guess what it is?
I couldn't.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, we've talked about sleep, diet, exercise. Yeah, that's the one that always comes up. And we think of that for our physical health as well. But what we don't consider when we exercise is what exercise is doing for our brain. So when we're exercising, when we're active, what's happening in our brain is it's being protected against nerve cell death, which is huge. We don't want to lose brain cells, right? So exercise helps us prevent that. It also promotes the birth of new brain cells, specifically in the area of the brain that's related to memory.
Okay.
So
I need to exercise more than
yeah, right? All of us do, right? So I often tell people, when you're exercising, often you think of your physical health,
Right.
but you should also think, hey, this is really good for my brain. And, experts recommend that 5 times a week, 30 minutes, aiming for about 150 minutes a week of exercise. Need to be very clear, though. It doesn't mean go out and run a marathon.
Right.
That's great if you can and you want to do that. But even simple things like gardening or, walking your dog, anything that to get your body moving can benefit your brain.
Now, is there any studies on like the time of day that's more beneficial, or is it just any time?
Well, we do know, because we don't want to conflict with sleep. So we do know we don't want to exercise within 3 or so hours before bed, because that gets kind of the endorphins going.
And blood pumping.
Yeah,
and your brain
absolutely.
going.
So we want to make sure that, we're not doing that, but whenever you can fit into your schedule, and really, this goes for people of all ages. So if it's in the early morning or at a lunch break or, right after work, that's when we want to be doing that. All right, so we covered 3 of them. The next one is stress. And we know stress is bad for our physical bodies. What happens when we're stressed is cortisol is released in our bodies. We've heard about how that impacts our physical health, but in the brain, it's especially bad for the brain. There was a research study out of Yale that indicated that when someone's exposed to chronic stress, their brain volume can actually be reduced.
Okay.
We don't want that.
No,
we don't want
not
your
at
brain
all.
shrinking, because that can lead to obviously impaired thinking and poor emotional regulation. So we know that we can't avoid stress. The key is to manage it, right? And we manage it through many of those lifestyle factors that I've mentioned already. The 5th one is social connection. So I always think of this one when I'm out and about in our community and I stop by a fast food restaurant in the morning. Have you ever done that?
I actually cook my own breakfast anymore, trying to be a little healthier because I would not make the right choices going out to eat every morning.
Same. Well, I always have to stop in and get a coffee or a tea or a pop. And what I see in those restaurants is I see groups of older adults.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of community when it comes to older adults that going out and even if it's just to have a cup of coffee, maybe some scrambled eggs or whatever, but they're always getting together, talking,
they're
telling
visiting,
old stories.
they're engaging, and every time I see those groups, I want to give them like a mental high five, because I'm like, you're doing such good things for your brain as making this part of your daily routine. But research indicates that it doesn't need to even be that formal. Even informal interactions can be good. The point is just staying connected to people. And then the last one of the big 6 is mental challenges. So that means challenging your brain with newness, novelty, learning new things. We can think about doing, my brain always goes to crossword puzzles, Sudoku. Those things are great. I'm horrible at both of those things. They're not in my wheelhouse. So I need to look for other ways to engage my brain on a daily basis and challenge it. That's when we know it's getting the best benefit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I know we talked a little bit about, older, adults taking care of their brain. How soon in our lives should we be focusing on brain health?
It's never too early to start. It really isn't. And actually, through some programs that we do with Illinois Extension, we're actually teaching kids how to take care of their brain, really with the goal of adopting, brain health as a lifestyle factor throughout the lifespan. Back in the 70s, when exercise was really catching on, it was kind of a cultural shift to where people were, I'm going to start exercising, I'm going to go to the gym, and now it's just part of our everyday life. So something similar can happen with brain health if we start educating people younger and at any age that you can take care of your brain, you can reap benefits. I like to think of it as a little bit like a retirement account, right?
Oh, yeah.
The sooner you start investing in your retirement account, the better outcome you're going to have when you're older.
Right.
So even in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, those are prime time to start doing activities that are going to help maintain your cognitive health.
So if someone's listening today that wants to champion their health, starting right now, what is the first step that you would suggest?
So the first thing that you can do is, I would say, start small. Like identify just one daily habit that you can change and work to build that into a consistent daily habit. So a lot of times when we hear these lists about what we should do and, oh, we need to do more of this, we should do less of that, we tend to think like, oh, I need to take on all of this at once and really change my whole lifestyle. That can be really overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, you might be less successful when you're trying to change every single thing at once. So finding some small thing that you can change consistently in your life and just focusing on that. So maybe it's taking a 10-minute walk on a lunch break or after dinner. Maybe it's just adding a vegetable to your plate. Maybe it's even prioritizing connecting with a friend, calling a friend or going out for coffee. Any one of those things is a small step towards making brain health a part of your daily habits.
Oh, yeah. Now, before we started taping, you talked, and this is going to put me on the spot, I feel, but you said that you've got kind of a brain game.
Yeah, a little hands-on activity.
So bring it on.
Okay.
We'll see what we can do.
Let's give it a try. So just for anyone out there, and for your own knowledge, so when we think about challenging our brain, we want newness, novelty. If something becomes too easy, it's less effective. It doesn't give our brain as much of a workout as it could. Just like lifting weights. If you can't consistently lift with the same weight, that muscle's only going to get so big.
Right.
You have to challenge yourself. So we can do that in a lot of different ways through recall activities, critical thinking puzzles, which are like, crosswords, Sudoku, those types of things. Activities for spatial reasoning, so like jigsaw puzzles are great for that. Yeah. But another way that we can do it is through a mind-body challenge, okay? So anything where we're using our body and we're challenging our brain at the same time is doubly beneficial. One quick thing that you can do even at home that anyone can do starting tomorrow is the next time you brush your teeth, brush with your non-dominant hand.
Okay.
Just that little physical change sparks enough kind of energy and activity in your brain to say, whoa, we're doing something different here. It fires different neurons and it keeps your brain alert and active.
I might poke a hole in my teeth if
that too?
I try that.
And you might get more messy and it might be a little more difficult, but that's the challenge. Brushing with your dominant hand is so easy because you've done it so many times. You can do it without thinking.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea is to make you think. So this is the challenge, okay? And you can play along at home too if you'd like. So what I need you to do is with your right hand, give me a thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay? With your left hand, point your finger to your thumb. Here's your challenge. You need to switch them. So your left thumb is up and your right finger's pointed.
Okay.
Okay? And see how quickly you can go back and forth.
It's the change in the other one.
Well, you have to concentrate. Yeah. And I'm putting you on the spot too, so that doesn't help as well. It's kind of
like patting your head and rubbing your stomach type situation.
It's the exact same thing. So these are known as brain breaks, and they are quick little mind-body challenges that, technically they use both sides of your brain at the same time, which helps with some neurons firing across the brain as well. But they require concentration. They require focus. And it's just enough little spark in your brain. And you don't have to do it for any length of time as long as you're comfortable.
I was going to say, once you get it down. So how's everyone out there doing? It was a little tricky at first, but once I kind of, kind of focused my brain on what I was doing, it was...
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done this with tons of audiences. So my brain's it's not really a challenge anymore for my brain. But there are tons of ideas out there on the internet they're called brain breaks or mind-body challenges, different kind of coordination, things like that. Just those little things, doing those for 30 seconds a day, that gives your brain some exercise as well. It challenges it. You can learn how to play the piano. You can go back to learning how to drum, trying that as an adult and see how it goes. And all of that would just really contribute to keeping your brain healthy and strong. And that's really what it's about every day, but also as we get older.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Karla, for coming up and talking to us about brain health. I think I completely agree. I think it's one of those things where we need to focus on that stuff, just like anything else that we teach our children. The younger you are, the more ingrained it's going to be, and the more beneficial it's going to be once you get older.
Absolutely.
And then you don't have to worry about trying to do it when you hit 50 and complain that you can't remember anything anymore. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we also want to thank our production staff for helping us put on these videos. We also want to thank our viewers. And don't forget that the Radar Free Press is free, so we do rely on your likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions. And if you'd like to watch more videos like this, check out theradar.online.